It's been about a year since we did a review on this Outsunny greenhouse, and today I just wanted to give you a follow-up and let you know how it's working out for us. Hi everyone, it's Keith from HomeRight, and the first good news is it's still standing, and that is the #1 complaint that I saw in the reviews when we were deciding whether or not to make this purchase. Now, I believe the best thing that you can do if you buy one of these is to come up with some sort of structure that's going to weigh it down and support it. Now, I'll put a link to the first video that we made showing you what we did, and there's other ones out there, and no method is necessarily better than another, but you definitely need to see about doing something to help keep this thing stabilized for these higher winds that come along, or if not, you will end up seeing this thing somewhere else in your yard than you want it. Now, last year we put all of our citrus trees into that greenhouse, and we used water barrels as a passive heating system, and all but 2 of our citrus trees did well, and those were 2 key limes, both located on probably the northern end of the greenhouse. Maybe that's why it happened, maybe it's just dumb luck, but all the rest of them fared just fine. Now, we took those citrus trees and planted them into the ground. That's a video for another day, but just to let you know, I don't think that was such a great idea, as I'm struggling with probably half of those in-ground citrus trees right now. Now, once the citrus trees were out, I ended up taking this cover off with my intentions of turning it into a propagation shed and just putting some shade cloth over the top. Now, I didn't get to that propagation shed this year, so the cover was in storage from June until about October. But that's one of the things that I like about this, is that we can use this for more than just a greenhouse. It could be that propagation shed I just mentioned. We were also thinking about putting it over our blueberries, and we could put deer netting over it just to protect it from the birds. So there are multiple things that you can do with it, and it's not just that versatility, but it's also the mobility of it. We ended up moving this to a different spot. Took 3 people about 15 minutes to just relocate it, and so we can put it here in our back part of our yard, or we could also go and put it over some of our raised beds if we felt we needed to. That's just one of the added benefits of a structure like this versus more of that Vicos greenhouse that we have. Now, we love that Vicos greenhouse, but it's in where it's going to be. It's not moving and not going anywhere else. As far as temperature and humidity are concerned, during the day inside this greenhouse, it'll get about 30 degrees warmer on a sunny day. But as soon as that sun goes down, the temperature on the outside here will be the same temperature on the inside of that greenhouse. Now, as far as humidity, that's probably the one thing that I have the biggest issue with. It usually stays, if I keep this all closed up, at about 85% humidity inside. If I open up those side windows and let some air in, obviously that will quickly lower that humidity level. But on a day like today, when it's only about 31 degrees outside, I'm just keeping this buttoned up. Now, as far as how this cover is held up, it's done real well, with the exception of a few things, and I've seen other people with their videos on these online about same problems as us, in that there's these straps here, and those straps just dry rot out and they rip right off. And not a huge deal, it just means you gotta kind of either hold it back with a clip, or you just Velcro it in a different spot to help hold it. One other area that's starting to get a little bit of damage is that the option that you have on this is there's 2 zippers. One that can just expose the screen here so I can still have some good airflow, and the other is if I want that whole thing to open up as like a door so I can just get in and out real easily. But on this screen here, I'm starting to get some holes that are going on that you can see. Now, some of that could be me going in and out. You know, maybe it was when I had the cover up and flipped up over the top. There may have been some damage caused, but the screen's still holding up, and it's doing good enough for what I need it to be doing. Now, last year, to hold the bottom of this plastic down, I ended up using bricks around the entire perimeter of this greenhouse. Now, I do have that in the front here because obviously I need to get in and out of this door, so I just remove the bricks down when I need to unzip the door. But on the sides, what I did this year, when heavy winds were coming in, these sides were just getting flipped up and the bricks were just getting turned over, and then they would just start flopping around a little bit in the breeze. So what I did was I took a 1x2, folded it over a couple of times, and then just took a screw. Yes, I know I put a hole in the plastic, but it's going through here and into the wood frame that you can see up there. That seems to be helping the sides out a little bit more on the days with heavy wind. So I'm not using any of the water barrels as a heat source this year because nothing in here really needs it. But just to show you what we have going on, there's some wavy leaf propagation that we had done. Those are right there in the back. Got some onions growing here in the 5-gallon grow bags. Then I've just got some pots that probably could have stayed outside, didn't, just brought them in here. There's some mint that's there. Then I got some thyme, some sage, and then what do we got here? Oh, these two plants I had to dig up. That's a Navajo and a hydrangea that I recently dug up toward the late fall, so I was a little worried about them, so I just brought those in here just to protect them this winter. And then over on the other side, we just have some of our figs that I gave quite a haircut to, and they're just sitting here along this wall. Now, the only other thing I have is still some extra onions. They're still just sitting here in the cell tray, but they're doing just fine. As far as the inside structure is concerned, it's holding up real well. There are some spots of rust, but it's very minor here. The metal frame I'm real pleased with. It's holding up. It looks like there's not any problems with it whatsoever. The wood frame that we've got it attached to, that's doing well. And even the straps, while we do have issues with the straps I was telling you about, which are these window straps, you can see here, the straps that are connecting here to the metal, they're doing just fine. Now the zipper's getting a little bit harder to operate, but it's still working, so I'm not worried about that. I'm hoping to get a couple more years out of this cover. I may or may not, but I'm definitely going to be taking it in May or June again of next year and storing it away. But worst case scenario, the frame is still going to have many different uses for me. So for the investment that we made, once this cover is no good anymore, I can just make it a propagation shed, like I said, or we can use the frame for something else. It will definitely all still get put to use quite well in our garden. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you got any questions or suggestions, please put them down in the comments section below, and we'll see you on the next video.